Hello everyone, guys. Hello.
Ciao Picciotte e Picciotti.
Hello from Sicily. So welcome back again to our appointment dedicated to the proud Sicilians around the world. Rosella, this time we have a special family from California.
Yes. And they are proud Sicilians.
And it's something touching for us because they should have come to Sicily a few days ago, actually 2 weeks ago, because we provided a custom private tour of Sicily for them. So
an ancestry tour,
an ancestry tour, because they have, of course, a Sicilian origin. But of course, you know, guys, we had the virus, and so everything was destroyed. And we have to postpone their tour to 2021. So we have to be patient. So this is my my words about this situation. Be positive, be strong, because everything will be over. Rosella, let's introduce our friends.
They are two beautiful persons, and we fall in love with them immediately.
Yeah. We have found their relatives here in Sicily. We became friends
before the tour start. So
yeah, so they are following us on Facebook. They try to make some Sicilian recipes. They made a special limoncello, and I think their limoncello is better than ours.
Our limoncello is still waiting for us.
Still waiting. So, guys, next week perhaps we will show the result of our limoncello. So let's start. Let's start with Misty and Dan Sanfilippo. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Ciao.
Welcome to our live broadcast.
So, how are you?
That's a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
It's the truth.
You as family.
It's the truth. We are related in somehow.
Oh, yes.
Even if our trip has been postponed, we are still friends, and so this is the most important thing. Next year, when we will see you, when we will meet you in person, it will be better. That's what I say.
Yep.
No matter about the virus, no matter about the situation. This situation is giving us the opportunity to make a better relationship. That's what I'm saying. That's the most important thing for me. And you are beautiful persons.
And you are our friends and our family for life now. It will be more next year.
Oh, yes.
It will be better than ever.
So let's start from what? From your Sicilian origin. Would you like to tell your story about your ancestors?
Sure.
First, I'd like to say my wife, happy anniversary.
Oh!
Yeah!
You're right, Dan. You're right. I forgot to mention it. So this is your anniversary.
This is our anniversary, and this couldn't be any more special to be with you. So, Misty, would like to start on how we met.
Okay, that's probably better.
That's a good starting point.
Rosella, I don't know this story yet, but Dan and I had met internet dating, I guess.
Internet, yeah.
And we went on our first date, and we started talking about where we grew up, what schools we went to, and so forth. And we found we had a lot of things in common. We went to the same high school. Dan was there a little bit earlier than me.
A little bit.
Maybe a little more in a couple of years, but
So, when he told me his last name was Sanfilippo, I had asked him, I said, do you know a Sam Sanfilippo? Because I went to school with him and we worked together and so forth. And turned out, yes, Dan knew Sam Sanfilippo. It was his cousin.
my first
It
cousin.
was his first cousin. He grew up with him and everything.
Wow.
So we had this common connection and we started talking about our families. Dan's family had ranches and raised fruit on the same street that my great-grandparents did. So it turned out that my great-grandparents and Dan's grandparents knew each other. And
this is amazing.
Oh my God.
They were about not even a mile apart on the same road.
Wow.
So
guys, that's destiny.
That's destiny, yeah.
That's destiny.
Well,
incredible.
we were running, our paths were crossing, but we never met.
Wow.
The same high school, she went later, a few years.
Yeah.
But I even met her at the grocery store, walked right by her, said to myself, now there's a good looking woman, why can't I meet a nice lady like this? I was single 25 years. I wasn't looking to get married. And then I found her and the whole story changed. Well, and what brought us together, I think, is the Sicilian connection and family, which for me is a big deal.
Well, we found when we were dating and I was being introduced to Dan's family, I was meeting his aunts and uncles, and they would ask me about my cousins, about my mom's cousins. And they would tell me, they said, do you know Justin Traina? Do you know Livio Traina? And I'd say, yes, those are my mother's first cousins.
Wow.
And so Dan's aunts and uncles knew my mother's first cousins. They either went to school together or they socialized together. And so it was just this.
Well, my dad went to school with Big Justin.
Yep. So, and Dan's aunt on his mother's side told us a really cute story one time about. So in the early 1920s, they didn't have social media and like we have today, places to meet people. So they would have these dances. And my grandfather would go to the dances and he loved to dance. And
he would dance every day.
Actually,
every dance he would dance, and he'd be asking different ladies to dance.
And that's where all the Italian families went to socialize.
Yeah.
And so,
that's true.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so he asked my grandmother to dance. So they were dancing before we knew each other, but my grandfather wasn't too happy at the time, and he was very upset after the dance. I don't know if they went any more dances after that.
I don't think
I don't know.
Nobody knows it.
But our families have always crossed. Her and I had never met each other, and that's, I guess, the point.
Right. So my family.
So we are talking about the 20s.
Yes.
That happened in the 20s, yes. But my grandfather came to California in 1912, and he was about 9 years old. His older brother had come, I think it was around 1909 or 1910. And his oldest brother, the story that I've heard is that he stowed away on a ship that was coming to New York. And so this would be my Uncle Joe. And he stowed away with no money
for 3 weeks.
Oh, is that how long
3
that
weeks.
sailing is?
Yes, took him 3 weeks. He
Long
wasn't.
trip.
So he said he practically starved, but he wanted to come to California to meet up some other cousins that had already come here.
Mhm.
So that was the first portion of the family that showed up. So around 1910, and then in 1911, my grandfather's oldest sister came with another brother, and then finally in 1912, my grandfather came with the rest of the family, the rest of his siblings and his parents, and they
Went through Ellis Island.
They went through Ellis Island in New York, and then they came straight to San Jose, California.
Mhm.
And California, as we told you earlier, is the same climate as Sicily.
So they felt comfortable.
Right. And it was also, everybody knows where we live now as Silicon Valley. Have you heard of
Yeah.
Silicon Valley?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
That's where we live. But in those days, it was called the Valley of Heart's Delight because all the hills, all the rolling hills were covered with almond trees and apricot trees. So in the spring, it was just full of blossoms.
Prune trees.
And people would come from all over and like vacation, or they'd picnic, in the orchards and so forth. So it was a very popular spot in the early 1900s to
Just like Palermo, it's the same.
yeah.
Guys, Palermo was called Conca d'Oro, the gold basin, the gold valley, because of the citrus. The same story,
there you
guys.
go.
Uh-huh.
And now everything has changed, of course.
Right. So I guess that's what, they came for the land of opportunity, and I think they wanted to get away at the time. The mafia was growing in power, and they didn't want that lifestyle, I guess, for their family. So they had the family.
The winery?
Yes, the family had a vineyard.
Mhm.
And I think the vineyard was somewhere around Misilmeri. Am I saying?
Yeah.
And they had a winery in Palermo. And the winery was right, from what I've heard, what my mother tells me, was by the opera house. So they sold the winery to other family. And then that's how they got their passage, to come to California, and they bought property and then,
Wow.
start their new life.
So sorry. So Misty, you just mentioned your hometown of your ancestor, Misilmeri. We don't know about Dan. So Dan, would you like to say our friend, which is your hometown, ancestor's hometown?
My grandfather came from Trabia,
Okay.
which is not too far from Misilmeri. They're
Not
too
distant
far.
from Misilmeri, in the same province of Palermo.
Yeah, and I think, what year did he come here? 1904? No,
No,
1901.
Yes.
He came in 1901. He was 7 years old. Came with
Sorry,
the family.
Dan. For those who don't know where these places are located in Sicily. So Misilmeri is a small village, just a few miles far from Palermo.
Yeah.
And Trabia is in the middle between Palermo and Cefalù. So very in the same province of Palermo. Very, very close to Palermo. And Trabia is close to Caccamo, Rosella's hometown.
Oh.
Go ahead, sorry.
And they went to Chicago, and I think Chicago was too cold for them, so they only stayed in Chicago 1 year, and they went to San Francisco. Now in San Francisco, he was there with his brothers. They had a grocery store, but they couldn't both live off the grocery store, so my grandfather came to San Jose and opened up a business. And from what my aunts and uncles were telling me, he used to sell meat out of the back of a van before he could buy the store. And he was a hard worker, man. What else we got on there?
Your pictures of them? You have a picture of them?
Yeah. I have a picture of my grandfather and on his wedding day.
Wow.
Let's see.
Let's on the right.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Now it's
Okay.
perfect. Wow.
He
Wow.
is over here,
Uh-huh.
and that's my grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And what year was that? 19...
17.
Which is your
1970.
grandfather's name?
Salvatore
Salvatore.
Sanfilippo, which is my middle name.
Uh-huh.
Dan Salvatore Sanfilippo. And I think he was 23 years old when he got married. And they had 4 children, my dad being one. But what's fantastic is I talked to the family who's left. Almost everybody's gone now. We don't get the good stories now that we're interested in hearing them. My aunts and uncles are old and they're in their 80s and they don't remember as well as they used to. But there's some beautiful stories that they have of growing up on the ranch, and as they progressed, it's to me that's the interesting part. And then to hear Misty's family were coinciding, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is amazing, guys. So it's
pretty-
destiny.
Yeah.
It's destiny how your families were related. So it's incredible.
Well,
Then-
Yes.
Sorry. Go on, and then I can say.
what I was just going to say is that I and another cousin of mine, we do a lot of the ancestry research. And it turns out that my grandfather's oldest brother, the one that I told you stowed away on the ship, he married I don't know if it would be his aunt, but he married a Sanfilippo. So the Trainas, one of the brothers married a Sanfilippo.
This is
But
amazing.
that's pretty far back.
A couple generations. Yeah, but still,
So you had many other relationships before.
Yeah, lots of connection.
Lots of connections.
Lots of connections. Yeah. It's incredible.
And so anyway, when my family came, I told you they bought a ranch and raised apricots and almonds, walnuts, and all the sons carried on the tradition, bought property, and farmed. My grandfather, at the height of his career, was probably, from what I've been told, was the largest producer of apricots in California.
Wow.
And now he
Oh
has.
no, my grandfather was.
Us. But so where we live right now is just about a mile from where my great grandparents' ranch and home, their first home, was. So we've stayed in the neighborhood, and in fact, I went to the same elementary school that my grandfather went to when he came. And I'll tell you a funny little story, or cute little story. When he came, naturally, none of them spoke English. And he said that when he was in elementary school, the children had to wear uniforms. I don't know if they still do that, but he said his school uniform was very formal. He had little short pants and a little sailor shirt. He had to wear a hat with a ribbon, and it was very formal. And when he got to California, the school children were a little more relaxed in their dress. They didn't have to wear uniforms. The boys wore blue jeans and work shirts. But his teacher came to my great grandmother and told her, said,
This is good.
She said, with a translator, of course, she said, Mrs. Traina, Vincent keeps falling asleep at school after lunch.
Oh, it's good.
And so she said, I want you to know that American children come to school, they bring their lunch to school, but their mothers send them milk. They don't send them wine.
His mother was sending him wine with lunch. He would eat his lunch and drink the wine. He's ready for a nap.
And we would take a nap after because he had the wine. So that was, a cultural thing that they had to learn. But he ended up dropping out of school in the 6th grade. So he was about 12 years old.
Too much wine.
It may be. And
that's been a good starting point.
Yes. But he did okay. He didn't have to. He was a very smart businessman and a very intelligent person. He didn't need to go to school any farther. But that was a story he loved to tell everybody about, how he would take wine to school and fall asleep.
It's incredible. I need some wine now. I don't know why.
We only have water tonight.
No,
Only water, Gianca.
No, this is sad. I need some
Only
wine.
water, only water tonight, Gianca.
No, but I had some beer for dinner, so I should mix, but it's not good.
No.
So
Here's another cute story. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
My grandfather on my mother's side came from Bagheria, Lacordi. And he bought a ranch. Then he bought another ranch. He bought another ranch. He had like, there's no TV, they don't have a radio, so he had like 7 kids. He brought 3 to America, which are we still are in touch with them. His wife had passed away. He remarried, and that's where my mother came in. He had 7 kids. So as they live on the ranch, like I said, they used to go to the dances, and across the street was another farmer, and he had 4 boys. My grandfather had 4 girls. What happened? 3 sisters married 3 brothers.
What?
It looks like the screenplay of a famous and popular movie. 7 brothers for 7 sisters. You know?
So, as a kid, it was, and their last name is Cefalu. So 3 of my uncles are all Cefalu. My aunts are all Cefalu. It was real easy as a kid to remember the name. When we could go see Aunt Rosie, yeah, Cefalu. It was, but they didn't. You don't go very far back then. Now with the internet, and it's a whole different world out there. But it's kind of a cute story on how they met each other. I think, and there's still one alive. My uncle is 93, and my aunt, I think, is in her mid-80s. She had the good stories about your family.
yeah,
My aunt.
yeah, she was the one about the dance.
Yeah, that was.
Aunt Lily.
Now, Rosella, you were going to say something.
I want to say that you, both Dan and Misty, have roots also in Villabate and Bagheria.
You're right.
Yes.
Bagheria and Villabate, for those who don't know, they are other villages in the province of Palermo, closer to Palermo than Trabia, very close to Misilmeri.
So both sides have a Sicilian origins.
A Sicilian connection.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
are 100% Sicilian.
I love it. I'm very proud of that.
We're very proud.
Guys, I want to ask you something personal. What did it mean for you to grow up in a Sicilian family, in a Sicilian background?
Go ahead.
Oh, it was pretty great. I personally had the privilege of living with my grandparents. My mother and father and I lived in her parents' home. And so having 3 generations is pretty special. So I got to, we had a rather large house, and my grandfather's brothers and sisters, oftentimes, they would come over, as well as the cousins and so forth. So I got exposed a lot to the family. My grandmother was not Italian. She was German and French, and her sisters were kind of spread out all over the country in California. So primarily I had the Sicilian influence. And what was I going to say? When my grandfather had the ranches, they bought property outside of where we lived. And he and his brothers bought some property in the San Joaquin Valley. And they would, my grandfather had an office there. And so he would leave Monday afternoon and come back on Thursday afternoon. And he would go out to a town called Tracy. And so he'd stay there during the week and work the ranches and, talk to the cannery people and, do what he needed to do for his business. And then he'd come home on the weekends, and the weekends it was family time. And he would go visit friends. He'd go to play poker maybe with his friends. And then on Saturdays, my mother and grandmother would go to the beauty parlor, and that was their day to always go get their hair done. So that was my day to spend with my grandfather. And since I lived with him, and so I would tag along, and he'd go, maybe visit his sister, or we'd go visit some other families who had orchards, and we'd make the rounds. And he would show me. I got my love for gardening, I think, from him, because he would have his fruit trees in the backyard, and he taught me how to graft a tree. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's where you take one type of tree and you kind of glue it to another tree, and you have 2 fruits in one tree. And so it was very special. I mean, he tried to, when I was littler, he would try to teach me some Italian that he remembered. He was kind of losing the language a little bit himself, having come over very young. And then he loved to cook. So like I told you yesterday, he loved the pasta with the sardines.
Yeah.
That was one of his little specialties that he liked to cook. And he loved the cucciadati cookies. So it was like his favorite cookie, and his sister would make it for him. And every Christmas time he'd head over to his sister's to pick up a bunch. And he told me, he says, Misty, you need to learn how to make these cookies. So we got, it's my great grandmother's recipe. And my mom's cousin came over and she taught me how to make them. And I've been making them ever since. I was probably 15 or 16, somewhere around there. I was younger. And so now I kind of carry on that tradition and have taught my son how to do it. In fact, Dan's the younger generation of his cousins learn how to make it. So
So you're showing them.
I'm kind of trying to show them, because my sons didn't have that influence that I had. You know, the grandparents had passed on and everything, but so, you know, I just try to do a little bit to keep them understanding what their roots are and who they are, because you know, those family members have shaped who I am, you know, my personality and so forth. I'm them, you know, right?
All right, you tell me.
You have an important an important part, as you say, in the transmission, to save the Sicilian heritage. So this is very important and delicate, in particular when you are abroad. So it's not just like the I don't know. Some people has to do it. It's an hard job, but some people have to do it because it's so important. So thank you for saving the most traditional Sicilian culture.
And to keep the connection with your homeland alive and strong in this way.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very important. I think, you know, the traditions and the morals and the beliefs that they brought, that, you know, that I saw, grew up with, is very important to keep for the younger generations. I think they're kind of losing that right now. You know, this is another, I don't know if you can see.
Wow.
I'm so involved. I go crazy.
This is my son in the middle. Whoop, right there. That's my son Travis. And then this is over here is a cousin of Dan's. And so the guys wanted to try making sausage. So this was their first attempt at it. And they had fun.
Oh, it came out good. It came out good.
Dan, what about your influence? What about your relationship with your ancestors? What did they tell you about Sicily? How did they influence you?
Well, I think on my Sanfilippo side, growing up as a kid, Sunday dinner was mandatory. If you didn't show up Sunday dinner, you heard it from Grandma. She would go to church at 11 o'clock. She would get out of church at 12, and everybody was at the house by 1, and don't be late. But as a kid, that was great because you got to see all your aunts and uncles at least once a week. You got to see all the cousins and have a good time. And as the family got bigger and bigger and bigger, the kids get pushed out, and you hear the story about eating on the card table. I was eating on the card table, geez, I think probably till I was 13, 14 years old after the family was so big. And as the families get bigger, it was harder to get together. But we still try and get together with our family, with our kids. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it was a great influence of getting together at least once a week, communicating, watching your aunts and uncles have fun. That was important. And then on my mother's side, the family was so big, each one of the sons had their own acreage, were growing fruit. My grandfather sold his ranch, moved into a home. And you're going to love this story. He couldn't drive. He couldn't speak English, so it was hard for me to communicate with him. And my mother would speak Italian, but she never would speak it at home because she had nobody to speak it to. So we never learned. But as my grandfather moved off the ranch and into a house, there's no car. Grandpa, where's your car? He goes, I don't need a car. I have 75-gallon vats of wine in the garage. All the uncles would be coming over with their jugs, getting the wine, that he was still making wine even though he moved in off the ranch. and he probably had to be in his 60s, 70s. They were still making homemade wine in the garage, which I love.
Yeah. I bet you'd like to have that barn right now.
But those are good, wholesome stories that I remember as a kid. My grandmother, they would go out in the garden and they would get the snails and they'd bring them in the house and they would cure them with the cornmeal. You don't see that today. You don't.
You lose that. Yeah. I think that's what I love about Sicily too. Well, I mean, Italy in general, but Sicily, it still feels rustic, old world. You preserve those artisans. For me, I love that because I was an art major in college, and I love seeing people still carving wood and making the carts, the horse-drawn carts, and we just don't have that here. It's too plastic.
Misty, actually, we have to say that we are fighting to save this
old tradition,
these skills, this kind of arts, because also here in Sicily they are disappearing. So it's about the same history everywhere in the world. But I think this is our most important part. We are not only tour operators or travel agents, but we try to keep the best of Sicily alive, because it's a pity. We are losing very, very slowly. We are losing our heritage. New generation don't want to work in the I just say artisanal shops. They don't want to make handcraft jobs. So they only want to be physicians. They want to be lawyers. But nobody wants to work in the land. You were talking about the importance to make come si dice innesti. When you said when you are able to grow different fruits in the same tree. In Italy we say innesto, just like an injection. So you the plowman, the farmer, they are beautiful jobs, and now nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to. They want the easiest way to go on, to make money, and we are losing a lot of traditions. So it's about the same history. If you go, for example, if you go in Palermo, you can find some old worker in the historic center, but the modern districts are completely the same, such as the New York or San Francisco district. So it's the same history
only
everywhere.
Small towns.
You have to go to the small villages. You have to move to small villages. You have to go, for example, in the southeast of Sicily, the area of Ragusa,
or in the Madonie villages.
The Madonie villages is still so authentic, so rustic, as you said. But the big cities are losing their heritage, their traditions. So
everything is too fast also, and in the small villages you can breathe the slowly way to live.
But actually I would like to say that now, in time of coronavirus, in time of crisis, some people, new generations in particular, they understood the importance to save these traditions, because they have a great importance. Other countries understand the value of these Italian, Sicilian products. So now some people return to grow the land, to work the land, to make some handmade jobs. So it's it's a question of opportunities. If you have no opportunities, you invent yourself. You try to do something different, and the answer is in the past, because the past is full of beauty, is full of great jobs, and so some people understood this importance. Go ahead, guys.
Well, I just to add to that, I think with this pandemic, you're right, it has slowed people down, and perhaps there's going to be some good to come from it. Is that we've already seen pictures across the world about how the wildlife and the oceans are regenerating. I think perhaps people are going to appreciate what, they're having more family time, and maybe they're just going to appreciate things more.
More home cooked meals, not so much fast food. Look at this. This grew overnight down here.
When we came, it was like 2017 when we visited Sicily, and we were on a bigger tour group, and the tour guide was telling us about how the young people are leaving and going to Florence or Milan for the big jobs and leaving behind.
Well, they're going to school.
They're going to school.
They leave Sicily, go to school,
and don't come back.
But don't return and bring their trade back with them, whether they're being doctors or what have you.
Right. But the what I noticed is that just driving across the countryside with the beautiful landscape and the hills, it reminded me so much of California.
Yes.
The way California was maybe 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But now if you look at California, we're freeways and we're, tall buildings and concrete, and we're losing that landscape. So it's almost like, be careful what you wish for. Preserve your beauty that you have. I mean, I know economically, people struggle, but you have such a beautiful island.
That's the most important thing. We used to say Sicily could be independent, could survive. Sicilians could survive only with tourism, and we have a great potential. We have many opportunities. Not only the historical cities of art. The beautiful landscape, as you said. The food and wine excellences, the traditions. We have many things to.
The beaches also.
Yeah, the landscapes, the nature, the beautiful nature locations. You have many things to export, and we could live just with tourism. But our government, as you say, politicians, sometimes they don't know, they don't understand, and sometimes they are corrupted. They accept money to introduce new investors from China, from abroad, and so we lose our identity, we lose our potential, and we don't invest in the best of Sicily. And I repeat again, tourism should be the core business in Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
But we give tourism just a small part of the business, and that's a pity. Because people have to emigrate, people have to go away, have to go to Milan, to London, to Paris, and we lose the most brilliant minds. And
right.
But there's so much in Sicily, the history there. We don't have that here. We have 200 years of being in the United States. You have thousands of years in the Greek temples, and I really enjoy that part of it. I like looking at the history.
There's so much to see. I mean, that's why we want to come back.
Let alone the countryside.
We just want to see
next year you will be here. And as I said, your trip is just postponed. So next year you will enjoy the best of Sicily.
And you will meet your relatives.
Yeah, of course.
That's going to be fun. That will be fun.
You know, my mom went, she was about 16 or 17, and she went with her father and her mother, and she said it was very special. She got to meet some cousins, and I don't know where they are all now, but we tease her a lot of times because she, you know, actually, let me go back. When I came to Sicily, I've heard other people say about how it felt like home. And it really does. And the reason for me is because things looked very familiar to me, just like the pasta dish, you know, and I'd see that. I'm like, oh, that took me back. That reminded me of that. Or if we're walking and I'd see older women, they looked like my aunts, you know, they carried their handbags the same way my aunt did, or their hair was done, you know, or their little house coats, you know, that reminded of me. It took me back. Well, something else took me back. My mother used to, she still does this. If she goes out for breakfast, she will order, you know what English muffin is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she would order an English muffin, and she would order a scoop of ice cream. And we would, I remember as a kid teasing her, why do you get to eat ice cream for breakfast? And she would say, well, I have a headache and it helps my migraine headache. And it wasn't until I came to Sicily and I saw on the menu, and I ordered it because I had to, the brioche with the gelato or the granita. I'm like, aha, that's it. That's where she got it. She probably doesn't realize that's where it came from, but you know, so it just that's why it just felt so familiar to me. And
so no matter if she realized or if she didn't realize, it's in your mother DNA.
Yes.
It's in your DNA. Right. So that's why you are Sicilian first. That's why you have a Sicilian habit.
No, you are. Yeah. So you are talking about Sicilian food. What is the Sicilian dish you love the most?
I would say for me, it would be the cucciolati. That was. I don't know if you know, if that's typical for you, or if you make it.
Cucciolati all over Sicily, though.
No, I don't think so either. Do they?
I don't make because I'm not a good cooker.
She's not good.
But I can buy them.
I love the my aunt used to make cannelloni. And you know, I enjoyed that. The pasta with the fish was something when I was very young that I didn't care for so much. As I got a little bit older, I started to like it a little bit more. I don't know. What about you? You have any?
What about you, Dan? What?
I love lasagna.
Oh. Actually, we have to say neither cannelloni and lasagna are traditional Sicilian. It's Italian. It's Italian. We make it. We make it, of course, but it's not one of the most traditional food.
No.
Nobody.
What would be the most traditional?
As you said before, pasta with sardines is traditional in Palermo,
Caponata,
in your area.
Eggplant.
Eggplant caponata, or yesterday we were talking about the difference between the Eleonora and Alisa made the pasta sirausana. That's very similar to pasta canciova. That's pasta with anchovies. Very, very sweet pasta. Somebody thinks it's a sour flavor, but it's so sweet because of the concentrated tomato sauce, because of the raisins, because of the what they put.
Also, the in this part we use the uva, come si chiama?
Raisins. Yeah, uva passa. But it's one of the most. I think it's an unlimited word. So the Sicilian cuisine, in particular the area of Palermo that I best know, it's full of delicious dishes, and we have the street food, for example. This is another world. It's a universe full of great dishes. I would say pasta al forno. The baked. So perhaps the most traditional here in Palermo is the pasta al forno, the ring-shaped pasta, anelletti, baked pasta. Then we have what?
Breaded eggplants.
Breaded eggplant.
Pasta with broccoli.
Pasta alla norma.
Pasta alla norma is traditional Sicilian in general.
Yeah.
You get that
in particular, it was born I think in the area of Catania. Pasta alla norma with the salty ricotta cheese, eggplants, and tomato sauce. Then what we have?
With pasta?
In general.
Arancini.
Arancini, yeah.
And then we have the dessert.
That belongs to the street food. So I don't want to talk about street food because it's unlimited. we have many kind of food. Arancini perhaps it's the most popular. But if you come to Palermo next year, I will show you hundred of different masterpieces.
Be ready.
Then of course, if you
go.
You know,
I'm gonna go get my bag. Hold on.
If we talk about pastries, about desserts, it's incredible, guys. I think the Sicilian patisserie, the Sicilian art of make desserts is uncomparable to anyone else, to any other pastry schools in the world.
The fresh ingredients makes a big difference.
Yeah.
When we were there, and we both still talk about it now, the flavor of the tomato in Sicily compared to here is ours are like water. There's no flavor.
Your tomatoes like candy.
Yeah,
they're so sweet.
The flavor of the tomatoes over there and that sauce is unbelievable.
We have the Datterino tomato. We have the ciliegino tomato. They are cherry tomatoes, very sweet. So that's the most important thing. They are the key element of the sauce. And,
but your tour will be a perfect mix, not only for terrific food and wine, but also an emotional tour. Because of course you can visit the house where your ancestors born. So it will be also an emotional trip.
Also in the connection with the food producers, they still make the traditional food. So you have many opportunities to visit cheese producers, wine producers, a lot of possibilities. So it's we try to go out every time, to stand out of the crowd and give people the opportunity to enjoy the most authentic Sicily. So
I can't wait.
To each one his own. If you love food, if you love the most authentic Sicily, you won't be disappointed.
And in the meantime, I still continue with the research of your relatives.
You have done so much wonderful research that I'm bringing things to my family that they didn't even know existed on both sides of the family. I mean, it's wonderful.
How many people did you find? Actually, I want to say, for those who don't know the history of Dan and Mrs. Sanfilippo, I didn't make anything. Rosella,
Gianca is lazy.
No, I manage the business of the tour organizer. So
you manage the business of eating. This is your true job.
I only eat. I only enjoy food. No, out of the joke, I give Rosella the part of the genealogist, the ancestry searcher, and she made a great job. She has found how many people for Dan?
So one cousin, Sanfilippo, and now we are working on the other side with Cancilla.
Just one?
No, one and other two cousins. So three person.
3 person for Dan, and now she's working for you, Misty.
Also, yes. So,
the job, Misty's job is a little bit more difficult. I don't know directly what she did, because I heard some calling. I know that she tried to connect with some people in the city hall of Misilmeri. So it's not a very easy job, but
because in some city halls there are smarter people, and in other city halls there are I don't want to say lazy people, but
people they have no habit with technology. They have no habit in investigating. So when you say, oh man, you have to search on this book, you have to find this document. Oh no, I don't want. Please call me tomorrow. Call me next week. So, but in some city halls it's different. In some city halls they are very, how do you say, very ready to help you.
Yeah.
Other city halls are okay. Let's discuss it next month. My colleague does it. I don't manage it, so please call me again. So you never know what's happened, and it's a funny
because
it's a funny job.
I think that if you do your job with love,
yeah,
it's more easy to work, no?
Yeah.
Because it's your passion, not your job. But if you do your job only for money, it's not good. I think
is annoying. For you and for people. So it's
and furthermore, in during the Second World War, some records registry
have been destroyed, have been lost because of the also when we have to go back to the 19th century, all the files of the documents are I do say kept by the churches, so you have to speak with some priests, and so it's more
don't
difficult.
worry, I'm working on it.
So when we were there last time, we rented a driver for the whole day. We went to Misilmeri to get her grandfather's birth certificate. We couldn't find the municipality. Finally, we found it. we didn't speak Italian. Our driver spoke for us. We go to the municipality and we sit down, and it's a hot 85-degree day. They're all in this room with the windows closed with sweaters on. I'm going, oh my
No
God.
air conditioning, no fan.
But they were the nicest, warmest people. They sat down, they got the book out for Misty's grandfather, they found his birth certificate, they made her a copy. So we thanked them. We wanted to pay them. No, you don't pay us. We do this because we love it. I said, okay, great. And we went to get up and leave. And they said, no, don't leave. We have something else for you.
Thing. That's the most important thing.
She leaves the room. She comes back with not her grandfather's birth certificate, her great-grandfather's birth certificate from
1857, I
57.
In a book. It was in a
book.
Special book.
And it was fantastic, and we're really choked up, and we get to leave. He goes, no, don't leave yet. He's drawing a map by the church around the corner. They had the address of where he lived.
Where my grandfather was born.
Where your grandfather was born. So
he showed you the house.
We got to go see the house.
Wow.
On the door is a birth announcement for another family. So the house is being reused over and over. And
yeah. So, I mean, it was nice. We lucked out that we had a gentleman there who was very sweet and very helpful, and in fact he told us, he said, the family name is a very special name to the city. I guess they were prominent back in the day. Apparently my great grandfather was the mayor of the town, and so they have like a building named after him, or
so it was very popular.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were very nice to us then. And then we had gone to Trabia to try to find Dan's. And then it was the opposite, just like you said, Rosella. The man didn't want to help us. He didn't want
to come back
to it was working.
That's true.
Yeah. So
this is true.
Yeah, because at this moment, the man that works in Trabia is the sweetest.
Yeah.
We didn't talk to him.
This is another man, of course. Not the man that you met.
That other man quit.
I'm lucky. This time.
They were closed.
Yes, that's true.
And he was the only one there. He got stuck there. Everybody else went home. So maybe he wanted to go home too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So guys, now I want to ask you a couple of things. So the first one, I have to introduce our friends that you are following our live broadcast, our suggestions, and I would like to show our friends the result of your special limoncello. And if you find your children all around the house, please show Benny and Rocky as well.
Come here, buddy.
Well, here's the result of the lemon chop.
Wow.
And you got a small
better than our limoncello, Gianca.
For sure, because our limoncello it doesn't exist yet.
Not yet.
Next week we will make our limoncello. Oh, ciao!
Ciao! So beautiful.
Yeah. Ciao, Benny.
Say hello to the world.
Benny is beautiful. Ciao, Benny.
Okay.
Where's Rocky?
Rocky's hiding on the floor. Camera shy.
Show a picture, please.
A picture? Let's see. Let me find a picture. Rocky is a chocolate Labrador.
Yeah, he's a huge dog.
He's a big boy, yes.
Big boy.
80.
I don't have to call them ducks. They are boys.
They're
Actually, they are boys.
our children. Where's my pets? Here we go. Let's see.
Oh, this comment is beautiful for you, Misty. Misty is carrying.
Salutiamo Frank. We have to say hello to our special friend, Frank Ragusa. Ciao, Frank.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I want to ask you. Well, here's a picture of Rocky.
Wow.
Down. He's getting kind of old, so he doesn't move around too much. But
So Frank says, Misty's carry on the tradition by a role in cooking Sicilian recipes, handed down to her. Good for you, Misty. That's what Frank writes.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun. Remember I asked you about the word that my grandfather used to call me, and it was called scabucci. And you don't, there's no translation? Or
sorry, say again, please.
Scabucci, no.
Or
Scabucci? Scabucci. I don't understand.
It was like a nickname. He would call me.
He's my little pain.
In which context he said?
Like an endearment, where he would say, "Come on, Scabucci, let's go here," or just like, "What do you think, Scabucci?" What you know, just no.
Never heard.
Never heard. It's
To be honest, no.
I don't understand. It's something. Perhaps it's something similar, but I don't. I can't focus it.
If someone knows, please write in the comment and help us.
Scabucci.
Please.
Scabucci, no.
Dan says
never heard.
That I'm a pain.
And it's strange because
it could mean I'm a pest. Maybe I was a little pest, like a little bug.
They
not
were
so
from
from our areas.
So let me think about.
Yeah, we have to think it.
Maybe we can ask to older people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Than us.
I've heard that sometimes the Italian language or the Sicilian language, when they came to the United States, kind of changed and became its own dialect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So
we have to try.
we have to try. Yes. I have a question for you. What are the best memories you have with your Sicilian ancestors?
Not in general, but because they already told about their ancestors, but the best in absolute. So your best memory.
I think my best memories were just being with the aunts and uncles and hearing their stories. I loved hearing their stories. You know, growing up, we were expected to, if we went and visited an aunt and uncle, went to their house, we had to sit quietly, you know, in the chair, not go out and run around and play. We had to be polite. And so we were almost forced to hear the stories. But I treasure that now. You know, some of my best memories, I think, like I said earlier, were going with my grandfather on those Saturdays when he would take me. We would go to, I remember there was one family in particular called the Marcheses. Mm-hmm. And they had a big ranch, and they were good friends of my grandfather. So we would go drive down this gravel road far back to their ranch, and those were special to me. I remember, you know, enjoying that, and just, you know, they're very loving people. You know, they had they were very faithful people. So everybody supported one another emotionally, you know, and they laughed. I remember too, my uncles would come over and we'd play poker. That's how I learned how to play poker. Because my uncles would let us kids get, you know, in and play and teach us how to play. So it was good. Family time.
Thank you for sharing.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's also for me one of the best memory I have of my childhood. When I watch my uncles, my dad playing not poker, because we used to play Sicilian cards. Now, of course, people also play poker, but our memories are full of scopa, briscola, so the best, the traditional Sicilian cards plays, Sicilian cards games. What about you, Dan?
For me, I love going because on my mother's side, with 7 brothers and sisters and 3 that he brought over, with a family of 10, there's a lot of cousins. When do you get together? Weddings.
Oh, it was a tribe.
Weddings. Then I remember so many good times watching your aunts and uncles dancing and having a good time. And that was, for me, brings back a real big smile. But not to change the subject, when we were in Misilmeri and you're talking about playing cards, and we're walking the street and there's a big statue there, the older gentleman still playing cards, but they didn't have a table. They had the door off a cupboard and they were balancing it on their knees. This was in Misilmeri a few years ago, and they're playing cards with this cupboard on their knees. I go, boy, that brings back a lot of memories of family and getting together around the table, just being together.
It still happens in Palermo, in front of the Royal Palace. There is a big square called the Piazza Indipendenza near the Palatine Chapel. There are elderly gentlemen who used to play cards every morning. So it's a beautiful scene. If you when we go there, I will show them.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry that you said now, because I should prepare the picture to show our friends this beautiful situation. So it's out of time. It's like something timeless. This is a timeless Sicily. This is a timeless Sicily.
Stepping back in time, it was so beautiful, and they were having such a great time, and there's a crowd around them watching of 10, 12 people.
Well,
I wanted to sit down and play myself.
They have no PlayStation, they have no Facebook, but they are happy.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, and having like the fruit carts, you know, in the street, just parked with the man selling cherries and you know, broccoli and so forth. So, and I don't know if you did, but one of my uncles, he had the little truck, and I guess in the 1920s and 30s, he would sell the fruit and the vegetables off of his truck too, go around the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's old style.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those are special. Those are neat. So we're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, we look forward to, guys.
We're trying to see the calendar.
Yeah. It's 12 months left.
Is Italy letting international visitors through yet?
Yeah.
On 3rd June.
June 3rd, we open the customs, the borders. So we are now ready to host people again. We are going slowly to the normality, to the normal situation. So, but of course, we had many damages because our tourism industry has been destroyed. we had a lot of cancellation till the end of 2020. So everything is confused now. I understand the point of view of people who want to cancel because they don't have any certainties. So it's but we have to be positive, because for sure the situation will be good on September, on October, and from the beginning of the 2021 we will be ready to start again in the best way.
This is just a year stop. How can I say? Anno
sabbatico. So we used to say when you are I don't know. I think it's the same in America. Some people can have a break from their job, and go on vacation for 1 year, just like this.
Yes, they call it a sabbatical.
How do you say?
They call it a sabbatical.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same in Italy. Anno sabbatico year. Yeah.
Right.
We have to be.
And they from here to, like, it was in Germany, the connection from Germany to Italy was a 15-hour layover.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I was trying to understand why they're doing that, if that was...
They don't have anybody flying. They'll open up more flights. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
It just seemed like a long layover.
Don't worry. You're asking about what's a good memory for me.
Yeah.
When I was probably a teenager, maybe younger than that, we had bought a house. Next to the house was cherry orchard. I go up and I eat all the cherries I want till I get chased down. And they came through and they leveled the cherries out and started building homes. Well, my uncle buys a home on the same block. Beautiful. And with my cousins. My other uncle buys the house next door. So they're living next door. They don't go around. They cut a hole in the fence so they can go through the backyards to see each other.
Wow.
We were all on the same block. So as cousins, we all grew up together. We were 4 houses away from where I had 6 cousins. Or no.
So it was your district.
Yeah, so
your own district.
Yes, and then we all would go to school.
Did you name the street Sanfilippo Street? No.
We should have.
There is a Cefalo Street, though.
Yes, there is.
There is a Cefalo.
But that's a good memory of growing up. And every Saturday, we would go to their house. They would be coming to our house because the fathers would always be playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
And as kids, we go over there and they would order pizzas, and it was just something always good to look forward to.
Yeah.
As growing up as a kid.
I'm thinking we have to dedicate an appointment to our Sicilian cards. It should be nice to teach people how to play Scopa, how to play Briscola. My favorite one is Briscola in Cinque. It's perhaps it's the only one game
we can
where
a live broadcast playing Briscola all together with our Facebook friends.
Yeah, but of course it's impossible.
No, it's beautiful. I think about this. I don't know how, but I will play this.
But I think everybody in the world should learn how to play Briscola in Cinque. It's a special game. You have only 5 participants, and I think, in my opinion, it's the only one game where luck is not important. So if you have bad cards, you can win. You can win. Not like poker, not like any other game. In poker, you can bluff, but it's different. In this game, you are it's a challenge between 2 versus the other 3 participants. So if you are a bad player, you can be guilty. And that's very funny because it's one of the, how to say, the most typical situation here in Sicily when you hear some people crying. It's about Briscoe and Cinque. They are fighting because of Briscoe and Cinque, because somebody made a bad move, sometimes made something wrong, and they scream, "Oh, what did you do? Oh, this is..." So we will dedicate an appointment,
But
a live broadcast.
I cannot play. I'm not.
Of course.
I can't.
Of course.
I'm not.
I choose for me the worst companion.
I can only play Scopa.
We will try to learn to teach Scopa also. Scopa is very easy, but Scopa is everybody can play Scopa. You just have to have a good memory. Briscoe and Cinque.
That's the reason why every time.
So she's not good. Also,
I'm game over.
Guys,
My memory is not good.
she has not good memory. She can't cook.
Only my job. In my job, I have a great memory, but in my private life, my memory is terrible.
Because you have no enough memory.
Yes.
Just like the RAM is limited, so she dedicates memory to the important things. Guys, it has been a pleasure to talk to you tonight, and we really look forward to meeting you in person because you are beautiful people, and we will remember this time, this period, just like an important period to know each other, to spend great time, but we look forward to meeting you in person.
And to ask you.
Big hugs.
We look forward to it. We can't
Thank
wait.
you.
We're
Thank you for
every day on our calendar.
Yeah, and please send your beautiful pictures about Benny and Raki, about your dishes, your Sicilian dishes. Share with us, and we will publish it because it's
Okay.
guys. Dan and Misty are proud Sicilians, and they make wonderful evidences of their love for Sicily.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for following us because you follow each live broadcast.
Yeah, they are active followers,
yes.
very
Really
active
enjoy-
followers.
I actually followed you guys probably for more than a year.
So you are one of the first ones.
Yes, and I told Dan, I said, you've got to follow them. They're so cute.
Thank you.
And I think this is who we want to, travel with. So then he did.
He agrees. He agrees. Benny agrees.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we look forward to meeting you.
We do, guys. We do. Thank you again for giving us your love and your love for Sicily. That's the most important thing.
Thank you.
See you the next one. See you the next one. Have a great day.
But it's time
Thank
to
you.
say from California, from
Yeah, that's your time, guys. That's
So-
your time.
love
Love.
Hugs.
Thank
and kisses.
Again. 1, 2, 3.
Love
Love,
hugs and kisses from Sicily.
California.
Thank you.
We love you.
We love you.
And Benny.
Ciao. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Benny.
Ciao.
Bye, baby.
Ciao.
Ciao.